Okay, I want to continue with our podcast by welcoming Dr. Roy Jackson back and asking him some more awkward and difficult questions. The first one was sent in to us, and I think it's quite an interesting question, and it is, do you find Richard Dawkins' arguments less convincing than Tinker and various other contemporary philosophers? Because some would say that Dawkins is fundamentally a fundamentalist atheist.
Yes, okay, that is a very good question. I think it's, yes, the questioner is making specific reference to an article by Melvin Tinker. And I think, of course, one of the problems is it's quite a short article, and I don't think an article like that can address what is quite a large Dawkins corpus now. And I think Dawkins does anticipate a lot of the criticisms levelled at him. I think probably the best way to approach this is perhaps to look at one or two of Tinker's criticisms specifically, and see if there's problems with those. We won't have time to look at all of them, but maybe that's another video.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. And in fact, I have the article in front of me here. One criticism that's levelled against Dawkins is this whole issue of when he talks about memes. And a criticism levelled against Dawkins by Tinker is that well, memes are not like genes, are not the same as genes. Therefore, it's the term he uses. It's inaccurate. I think the problem with that criticism is that Dawkins, I think, wants to stress that memes are analogous with genes. It's an analogy.
So they were never meant to be identical,
no,
but be an analogy that represented something.
That's right, yes. And they share similar characteristics. I mean, that's the whole point of an analogy in a sense. I mean, they in terms of how they replicate, he talks about a meme pool, the fact that things are passed on from one generation to the next. So they display certain characteristics that are similar to genes, but he's not saying they are the same thing as genes. Now, so that in a sense levels against this kind of criticism that it's inaccurate. Well, it's going to be. But having said that, I mean, as any student of philosophy of religion knows, any argument from analogy is only going to be as good as the analogy is. Okay. And of course, the problem might be with this is, first of all, is it really that good an analogy? Does it really work in that sense? So that is possibly one problem. But even if it is a good analogy, I think the problem then is, what is he really telling us about religion? It may help us to understand how beliefs are transmitted in a way. Of course, he argues that religion is transmitted because people like what it has to say. It's appealing. Life after death, great, I like that. So it gets passed down from one generation to the next. But then Dawkins wants to say, in actual fact, he wants to criticise it from the point of view, well, this is just a wasteful byproduct, we don't really need it. That's where I think the problems come in, because presumably memes are everything. It's culture, it's everything. So do we want to say other things such as literature, art, painting, morality, I suppose, are wasteful byproducts in that sense, and therefore it should be cast aside. And I think that's the problem he has. Why specifically religion?
I think that's at the heart of the problem, is why he picks it out as something particular. 'Cause those other things make a whole bunch of truth claims, and they might have similar reasons why they're passed on as memes.
Yes, and to some extent, again, to be fair to Dawkins, he makes some attempts to try and address those issues. But I think, to some extent, I think Dawkins' own prejudices against religion are coming through there. I think he seems to be particularly focusing on religion in that sense.
And the idea that religion makes you feel better, and therefore it's passed on, seems to not accord with the sociological or the kind of personal facts of many people who are religious. It'd be a lot easier not to have to believe these things. They actually find it quite hard.
Yes.
Some people seem to find it quite a difficult journey.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that perhaps relates to a similar criticism that Tinker talks about in terms of, does he simplify religion, that kind of thing. We just like religion, it makes us better and happier. Where in actual fact, as you say, it often involves a series of dilemmas and personal struggles and suffering and sacrifice. Things like that. So yes, I think we can see both sides of it there. And when Dawkins is asked if you ever watch any sort of conferences, which you can see on plenty on various podcasts and so on, when he's asked questions about memes, he often uses the term maybe this, maybe that. So I think to some extent the whole meme thing is somewhat speculative and somewhat non-empirical. I think that's also a problem that an empiricist like Dawkins, I think, maybe has a problem with that to some extent.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you.